All right, welcome back to the Business Roundtable podcast. I am your host, David Carr of Steward Your Business, and I've got a brand new guest with me this week, Lindsey Anderson. We're so glad to have you, Lindsey. Um, Lindsey is a social media expert. She's been on Netflix, wrote some amazing best-selling books. She is very passionate about all things social media, having done it for 20 years. And so she and I were talking, and I thought, man, this is something that a lot of business owners need to learn, understand how to navigate this in today's world, Lindsey. So I'm super excited to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
David, what a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. You're right. So much is changing in today's world with social media. Couldn't have said that better. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you and I were talking, and I love your post, by the way, go follow Lindsey on LinkedIn, by the way, if you haven't connected with her. She's amazing. She's got some amazing content out there. But I was watching one of the posts, Lindsey, that you made on LinkedIn was that just grabbed me was like, are you, posting, are you posting the right thing, the wrong thing? Where are you posting? And one of the things that I learned about you is you've got this whole 4-step system for social media sales, and like, let's think about how to do things the right way, the most effective way. So like, can you give me a little background about your history? What got you into this? Why do you like social media so much, Lindsey? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as you mentioned, like I've been in business for 20 years. And the thing that is the thorn in the side of most small business owners is how do I get more high quality clients? It is the
Yep.
gas that runs the business. If that dries up, things start getting real sticky. And so it's
Mhm.
been my lifelong passion about how to help people find a steady stream of high quality clients. So I'm a digital marketer at heart, and you don't have a lot of options, David. You got search engine optimization, which is totally changed now, and you need a team
Mhm.
and it costs a lot of money. You have ads, which can be a real dumpster fire if you don't know what you're doing. Okay. You have
Yep.
referrals, which can be like paint dry if you don't have a plan for those and you just kind of sit around and hope and pray that those come in. And you have relationships, which social media and the way I teach social media, and what I like to say is the new way of social media, is you go in with relationships in mind
Mm.
and you can create
Mm.
relationships in mass. You can find high quality clients on social media. To your original point, my 4-step system, most people, David, think social media is a content game, which
Mhm.
maybe for a creator it is if the apps are paying you for eyeballs, but for most
Yep.
business owners, like, content certainly a piece, but it is not what's going to make or break your success on social media.
Yeah, I mean, I know people when I fall into this trap too, or I was creating a lot of content, but it wasn't really reaching the audience. It wasn't getting conversion. It wasn't people taking action.
That's
And
right.
so it was kind of more like, okay, am I just, I'm not reaching my clients. I'm not reaching my ideal people, even though I'm trying to create this content. And like I was joking earlier with you. I was like, oh, do I post on what platform do I post on? Like, TikTok was a big thing, right? Because then it was going to go away. It's back. I mean, there's just different forms. Now there's Blue Sky. People are leaving Facebook. There's just different things. Like, where do I go? How do I, because you could have the maybe best piece of content, but if you don't know how to reach the person effectively, you know?
Yeah, and you're speaking to, and I think this is changing, okay? Because you're speaking to this overwhelming pressure that most small business owners have when it's, if I'm on social media, I must be on all of the platforms. Like, you feel like you
Mhm.
have to be. But in
Yep.
today's day and age, it's changing. As you just mentioned, like, people are leaving Meta in droves and they're going to, maybe some of them are going to school, some of them are going to Blue Sky. People are
Mhm.
leaving, and you're coming up with other social media channels. And the fact is, you just need to find one or two. I'm going to even add the word two in there, but barely. Okay. Only
Uh-huh.
one or two that you're focused on. But the key is not which one is the most popular right now. It's where are my
Mhm.
customers hanging out? And then
Yes.
you pick that because it's more about community and it's more about engagement and being where your customers are than it is about anything else. Some winning viral piece of content that finally puts you on the map. Spoiler alert, that will not happen.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah. Well, and I remember we were talking about this before the podcast, and I was talking about a colleague of mine, um, who he tried to get all these followers, paid somebody to get him on his Instagram, grow his Instagram account. I've had many people actually on Instagram in particular. I don't know if this is the only platform, but where they've got 10,000, 20,000 followers, whatever, but they're not getting no hardly any interaction with the posts, for example. Like you said, that community, they're just kind of, I don't know, they're just bots or whatever it is, but they're not, people are definitely not commenting, they're not engaging. There's no community, there's no relationship there.
That's right. That's right. And that's pretty popular there on Instagram with the old vanity metric situation going on over there. And that's
Hmm.
really, it's real important to Instagram, but it's not going to bring you clients. I had a client who came to me. He had 50,000 followers on Instagram, and every day he's a health and wellness coach for
Hmm.
high achieving executives. But his Instagram posts were the daily workout of the day, where he'd show you a move for 30 seconds a day. Now, even though he had 50,000 followers and he would get a lot of likes, no one's buying from him because he's not following the 4-step social media sales machine system. And so when we implemented that, then he was able to secure 50,000 or more dollars worth of contracts in a month from his social media.
So we've set out, there's definitely a problem, there's a disconnect here, and there's people that are overwhelmed, Lindsey, and like where to start, what's the platform, what do I post? So break it down for us then. Like, okay, 4 steps, that sounds pretty easy. It sounds like, like, hey, there's these steps that are walking through. Lindsey's navigated all these pitfalls, but what is that? So how to use the business owner, the leader, kind of step out of the minutia, or like, I don't know where to go here. Where do we start?
Okay, so you do start with where you think I'm going to start, which is content. So you're
Hmm.
on social media. Yes, you need content. It is not what you think it is. Okay. If you have consistent professional content talking to your one true client and their problems, and you're very just focused on this one person, and you're doing that consistently, that's what you need for content. And so the biggest problem small business owners face when they're doing this is they post in fits and spurts, like they start and stop. That's just hurting you with the algorithms. Okay. You try
Mm.
to post every day, you're wasting time. Okay. You have to batch create this content, put it out on a scheduler so that it's there and it's being delivered. And then, third, make sure, and this is just a little hack for you guys, envision a one true client. This has to be a real person in your experience that isn't you. That if you could make
Mhm.
cutter versions of this person, you'd be real happy and just talk to them and only them. And that's what you need for the content step of the social media sales machine. Does that make sense, David?
No, that makes sense. I mean, here, the clarifying question, Lindsey, because I agree. I mean, that's very powerful. I know that as business owner, even myself, sometimes you get like, well, I want to sell to this person, I want to sell to this person, so they dilute their message, right?
They
You're
dilute, and
diluting it,
then the second that that person sees, what you're saying to this guy, it's like, this is a great example. I had a divorce coach, and she was dealing with people who were far past the divorce stage. Like, they're looking for their second life, like everything is taken care of legally. Then all of a sudden she starts posting about it's divorce month. Are you thinking about getting divorced? The guy so far down that line with like the legal document signed do not want to hear that. Even
right?
though the topic is divorce, it is
Yep.
two totally different people, two totally different topics, and it has to be applicable to that one true client. So that's why I say envision one person in your head, somebody who's a real person. A lot of people try to make this up,
Mm.
but like you
Hmm.
can't put yourselves in the shoes of a prospect unless like them,
Yes.
you've interacted with
Yeah.
them. You can't
Yeah.
guess, and it can't be you because you think you're smarter than you are. I'm sorry, we all do. We all do.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's so powerful. And I've gone down that road, and I know it's like, it's sometimes it's like, I don't know, let's say it, you just spending that time and that energy to get clear on that person, like you said, who really is that person, knowing them inside and out.
Pick one
Um,
for 6 months and just be focused on that. Do not skip
mhm,
around. It will hurt you in the long run. I know fear of
mhm.
missing out. What about all the other people? You'll have
Yep.
other people coming in, but like
Right.
focus on one person.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's I mean, hopefully as everybody's hearing this, that's super powerful. concentrated information that you need to apply. And I know I'm hearing it. I'm applying it to myself too, Lindsey.
It's scary. That
So,
fear of missing out is scary, but it's the best thing you can do. And like, if it makes you feel better, do it for like 6 months and you'll see I'm right.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that focusing in on that, getting clear on that more and more with your messaging, because it takes a while. I mean, it's just, I mean, at least from my experience, Lindsay, of like getting it more refined, getting it more concentrated, more focused, kind of getting the fluff out of the way. Like you said, do it for 6 months. It's not going to get right the first time, second time, third
It
time you
is
do it.
it is a very deep hole that you're digging here. Like I haven't even I do this for a living and haven't reached the bottom of mine. Like niching and more and more. And who is this person exactly?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's
Okay,
so many
so
people, especially on social. You can reach all these people. So you just got to
right,
figure out one. Okay? That's step
right.
1, David.
So step one is just getting really, really clear on who is this person that you want to serve. Here's the other thing I guess I'd add simply. Sometimes I could serve a lot of different people, but I ask them about who are you passionate about? Who do you really want to serve? Because if you just
Yeah.
pick anybody, it's like, you want to attract those people that you really are, who are your ideal client? Who do you like get excited about every day? How you can serve them, right?
Amen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
I
just
couldn't
like
agree more.
I
Yeah.
get up.
Yeah, the
Don't
people
just
you have a
pick
track
them.
record with, yeah, that lights
Yeah.
you up. That's just gonna help
Uh-huh.
everything that you're doing. Do not just pick because doctors make money, so I'm picking the doctor niche. That will not work. That will not work.
Yeah, right? 'Cause it won't last over time. So yeah. So the first part is content. What's our
That's right.
next step then?
Next step is engagement. And this is where a
Okay.
lot of people go wrong. Okay. This is where we mentioned you want to pick only 1 or 2 platforms because this is not about content drop and running. Okay. This is about, hey, my customers are here. I'm doing active reach outs. I'm inviting people to connect. I'm interacting with people on my feed. And what I really like to call this step is called virtual networking. You guys
Mm,
go to live events and you meet all
yep.
sorts of people. This is done virtually. There are real live breathing people on the other side of social media. I have met This
Mhm.
is how I got on Netflix originally. I have met NFL players. I have met people that work for Forbes. My biggest customers have all come from virtual networking on social media, me having high quality content, but reaching out, introducing
Yes.
myself, getting to know people like David and I have right
Mhm.
here.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. If you go to Lindsay's LinkedIn, and I love the content you're putting out there, you'll see interactions and comments back and forth and engagement. And I was just talking with another colleague about this last week because we were talking about this idea of the sales conversation and not say burning is the right word, but going through people too quickly. And sometimes we do that on social media. So slow it down, be intentional, like you said, in engaging and build the relationship because you might have just going so fast you've just passed somebody that could be an ideal client, ideal connection, and you're just like trying to go through the numbers like I just got to get through all these people or whatever, but spending the time like you're saying, Lindsay, of doing the virtual networking. And and like I said, go to Lindsay's LinkedIn profile because you'll see her how she does it. And it's masterful because I got drawn in, and you have so many great comments and people that are engaged with your content, Lindsay. And so I think just observing how Lindsay does this is just awesome. And so again, that's how we got connected because there was another colleague of ours and he was interacting and
That's
I saw
right.
how they were connecting. And I'm like, okay, this is a person that's truly engaged, truly cares, is paying attention, and builds relationships. And I think that's what I think you and I are passionate about. You build relationships first, then the opportunities come.
That's right.
And so it's not the other way around. If we're trying to process opportunities it's about building those relationships and being people like they know you, they like you, they trust you, right?
That's right. And if you have like a system, so a lot of people will skip over this, like, oh, I have fires in the business. And so I'm going to put that off for today. But like relationship bank accounts, you got to be depositing into those.
Mhm.
And it's just like the workout you do every day. So I work out every day. And, the body and health I have is the result of what I did 3, 6, or 9 months ago, not of what
Yep.
I did today. This
Yeah.
engagement piece is exactly the same way. If you're consistent and you have a system around it and you deposit into the relationship bank accounts, your business will be different 3, 6, 9 months from now.
And as just for the audience to clarify, Lindsey, because I think sometimes as business owners we get this like I think it's totally necessary to have systems and processes in place, but you need to, in my experience, you need to be doing this yourself and get in the habit of this before you start bringing a VA or other people to help you follow up and doing communication. It's like you've got to build that relationship, and then of course you can have people help you and follow up, but you can't. Sometimes I think some business owners are like, well, I'll just get somebody and I'll just outsource this. It's like they can't speak for you. They don't know you. You know, it's got to be you.
Yes, yes. And so we have services within my agency where we will do some of this reach out, but we will always have the business owner do it first so that they understand who they're attracting, how they want to start talking to people, how these
Mhm,
conversations start. And then, of course, when the conversation gets deeper, that's got to go back. You are the business owner, like this is
mhm,
you. But there are ways
right,
to systemize it, but you're not wrong. They need to do it first. So you actually are like boots on the ground. I understand who I'm attracting and who I'm talking to here, and is it the right person?
right, right, absolutely. So that this is so powerful. So we've got the content. We start with
Yep,
that. We start with that kind of that and messaging, and then building the engagement on
that's
top
right.
of the content that you're putting out there.
That's right.
Okay,
You
and
want step
doing that
3?
systematically. What?
Yep.
Say again?
You want
3?
step
Yeah,
3?
3. Yeah, I want step 3. So go to step 3, Lindsey.
Okay, so step 3 is where most business owners don't do this, okay? So most are like, "Okay, I'm engaging. Why aren't people pulling their wallets out of their back pocket and throwing their money at me?" They're not doing that, and it's because, like, they have an 8-second, like, they're off to the next thing. They don't really care about you or working with you. There's nothing
Mhm,
clear here, so you have to spoon feed the next step to these people, and so the 3rd step is conversion. And so what is the next step if you are resonating with what I'm doing here on this video, if you're resonating with our conversation in the DM,
mhm,
a very clear next step. So my favorite is what I call an invite only event. This is a live masterclass I give on rinse and repeat that talks about the problems, showcases what I can do, and brings in high quality people to a sales call. But people I meet on social media, I invite them to this. And because it's rinse and repeat, it's a place for us to meet and for them to
mhm.
actually see what I'm about.
Yeah,
So,
that's
conversion, you
that's
got to have a next step.
yeah, no. I love that you're inviting them and you're offering value. You're
That's
saying,
right.
"Hey, come check this out. You see if this is something that you really like." Because they've, it's I don't know, it's like kind of like dating. It's like, okay, we're getting to know each other a little bit more. Are we going to get a little bit more serious here? And so you're inviting them to say, "Hey, come see this." And I find a lot of business owners, or I'm approached, where they just skip over this oftentimes, and they're just trying to get to the transaction,
That's
and
right.
they're like, they haven't got to know me really. And like you said, you start with an engagement, and then you say, "Hey, we've had some good dialogue here. Let's just see." And I think some business owners think, well, this is going to take too much time, or I don't know. But like you said, you could develop this so that it can be repeated. And you've got a system, and you're able to deploy that. And the idea is that you have continual people coming in, and so you want to make it, like you said, that rinse and repeat. Yeah, so that way you have that opportunity again to invite them. I think that's really powerful. And I will say, I was mentioning before we started recording, I've worked in the environmental consulting world for many years, and only recently I've noticed one of my clients, they started doing this a little bit, kind of accidentally, where they were trying to help some of their uh, subcontractors get some work done, and they just invited them, let's do a Zoom, let's get this. And it just kind of like, once they got on that Zoom and they worked through this particular problem or challenge, they're like, oh, we're so happy we worked with you, and like we want to keep working with you. And so because they had that experience, that's such a positive experience. So I think, Lindsey, to your point of, it's worth that investment. I think sometimes business owners don't think like, oh, why this is going to take extra time or whatnot. What would you say to them? Like, and just reminding them, like, hey, what's involved to get this all set up and running?
Well, if
This
it's a
step
rinse and
3.
repeat masterclass, so to your point, which is like a live Zoom call. So like in today's
Mhm,
day and age of AI and who's doing that and are you a real person? Like
mhm,
intimacy equals sales, especially for high quality customers. This works for any professional based business, okay? Insurance, real estate, coaches, consultants, they need to experience you live because there's
Mhm.
so much crap out there. And so you have to develop this intimacy. And so for a business owner who's like, oh my gosh, that takes so much time, you're probably throwing spaghetti at the wall for all of your marketing anyway. And you're trying
Mhm.
something new all the time and trying a new PDF and trying a new book and trying to get on another like all of that is a waste of time. What you want
Mhm.
is a system, a conversion system in your business that you can easily invite people to. Maybe you go to a live speaking event, you have an invite only event next Thursday, invite all those guys, and it's rinse and repeat. It takes no time and it gets better every time you do it. So it's an hour a week for this
Mhm.
conversion once you get it off and running.
Yeah. No, that makes sense to me, Lindsay. And I think again, like you said, it gets better as you do it.
Yes.
Um, I
Stop throwing it
know.
out, guys. Stop throwing out all your
Yeah.
marketing. Yeah, there's stuff in there
Yeah.
that
Just
works. You
yeah,
got to
and then
figure out
just
what
tweak
it
it a
is.
little bit, right? Figure
Yep.
that out. Okay, that didn't work. Adjust it. But again, I've again learned from others. There's pitfalls here too, because some people are like, "Well, I just want to record it once, and then I'll just put it on auto." Right? Pitfall. Right? Don't do
If
that.
it hasn't converted anybody ever and you record it, guess how many people it's going to convert? 0. Instead, you give it on rinse and repeat and you're like, until you know it works and converts, then we can talk about recording it. But like you thinking
Mhm.
that you know exactly what to say and how to say it that will get some high quality person on a sales call, it's not going to happen.
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
wasting your time. I understand. We all want an evergreen funnel. The people who have those put like Russell Brunson will say, he
Mhm.
does a webinar 100 times live before you even think about recording it. I couldn't agree
Yep.
more.
Yeah, that's one of my mentors, Garrett J. White. Same thing. Just watching and seeing, and um, I've been fortunate to be able to literally watch behind the scenes and see how these things work because it does take time. It takes all these little tweaks and things, and like you said, and then people, then you can add paid advertising and all that stuff on top of it once you figure out it works. But if you
Yeah,
don't
don't throw
know that
money
it
at
works,
something that you don't
right?
know if it works or not. That
You're
sucks.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
right. And a lot of people get suckered into that. Like, unfortunately, I hate to say it, with like, oh, well, they're just kind of throwing things around and they haven't got clear. And almost anybody can be a marketing agency or, hey, I can get you on social media, right? But what
Yeah.
you're hearing from Lindsay is that she's thought through this process step by step to help you avoid the pitfalls, and so if we do these things, and we're going to come to step 4, but do the content marketing, do the engagement, and now get the system in place, what would be then the next step that we need to do, Lindsay, in the
The final
process?
step, and we've already hinted at this, which is amplify. So amplify what's working and test what isn't. So within all of those steps, there's little metrics that you can track that will say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is working. Oh, this isn't. And so I can give you an example. Like, for example,
Yeah.
content. You go look at your content, how many views, how many likes, how many shares, how many comments. Like, you're going to have some results there. Find the winner and redo it. Do it again, this time a little bit better. But there's winners. There's winners in the metrics. So you amplify the winners and test the stuff that isn't working. But don't
Right.
throw
And
it
that's
all out.
where, right. And this is where somebody like you, Lindsay, comes in and helps you make sense of all that stuff. Like you just
Yes,
laid it out there. Right.
that's right.
Because I'm not an expert in that, and I don't even know where to look at all that stuff. And quite honestly, I don't want to spend the time as a business owner. You shouldn't just
You
have somebody
shouldn't.
like Lindsay. Yeah,
That's
right.
right.
You messing
That's
with
right.
that.
That's
You
exactly
know.
right. That is exactly right. You have a professional do it and tell and analyze that stuff and then tell you what gets better. What won't work is for you posting endlessly on social media for years and years and years, never looking at that and hoping one day you'll crack a code that you're not even monitoring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It won't
Yeah.
work.
Right.
It's too
Right.
competitive. Like social, everybody wants to be on social. There's so many people on social, right? Everybody's on.
Mm-hmm.
My kids want to be on social. Sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, going back, I really like what you said at the beginning too. Is like where as we're doing these things, like I'm sure when you're doing the analyzing this, are we at where our clients need to be? Are we in the right place? Are we posting that all these questions? Because sometimes, like I said, one platform may be much better than the other. Like you and I are both on LinkedIn because that's where our ideal clients are.
That's right.
Um, and so it's one thing. It's like, okay, our ideal clients are there. It's like going back to what it was, just going back to this whole cycle, like you're saying, okay, they're there, but we're not converting. We're not getting there. What do we need to tweak along these steps? Right.
That's
Like,
right.
is it, is it the, is it the engagement? Are we not engaging them well? Is it that invitation to that, 1 hour seminar? Maybe that needs to be tweaked. Right.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
exactly right. Yeah, my favorite metrics are really where it really shines through is on that invite only event matrix. So we
Mhm.
collect how many invites were extended, how many RSVPs, how many people attended, how many people got on a sales call, and how many people closed. Now, based on what those numbers are, I know your invite sucks because no one's coming,
Mm,
or your invite is great, but nobody's getting on that call. That means your sales pitch on that masterclass needs to be tightened up. Like it's
mhm.
very obvious when you just track a few things what needs tightened, what works, and amplify what works and test the rest.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's so important. I mean, I having done these steps that you're talking about, Lindsay, and looking, and it's making me think about, okay, where are those things? Because it's there, you can be broken down, like you said, and looking, having somebody like yourself, Lindsay, look at that and say, okay, you got them to the event, great, amazing, but you didn't close well, or you didn't communicate the message the better, so that there's a follow-up through, that there's a disconnect. What is that? I had feedback just on one I had recently. Is like, hey, you're not connecting more emotionally. I was like, okay, I get stuck in my head, so how do I hit the heart a little bit more? Again,
Yeah,
where my client's at, right?
that's right. That's right. You're
Mm-hmm.
exactly right, David. Yeah. And so just tracking that and most small business owners be like, "Well, no one signed up for my sales call. I'm starting from scratch." And it's like that is a mistake because there's stuff in there
Mm,
that's working. You just need to be able to like break it down and figure out what worked there and what didn't.
right, right. Um, no, I mean, and that's hard. I mean, again, that's
It's
why you
hard.
have an
Yeah,
expert
I
like
mean,
yourself
it's
to
it's
be
a
like,
skill set. Yeah, find
yeah,
somebody to help you. Okay, you don't have time
ex-
for this. You need to be serving customers. There's ways to make social media work. Find someone like me to help you. So, like, even down to the content thing, one of my favorite services that we provide is I will interview a business owner for an hour a month, and we will create those 30 days of high converting content. We make sure that it's talking to their ideal client, but it is one recording session a month, and then you're done. Imagine the
mm,
freedom. Imagine.
that's awesome. Yeah, because you have a system and a process. You know how to ask the right questions, and you
That's
know
right.
how it's all broken down. Which is versus you spending, like me or the business owner, like trying to figure this all out and spending hours and not getting what you really want, and like having to mess with it all.
David, you're
And
smart.
just
Yes.
finding, right.
Yeah, like
Well, that's why I found Lindsay, because I
I
like.
spent hours and hours and hours a day on this, like, to figure it out for my clients, with my clients. I have 20 years of experience, like, all wrapped up, and you can just have it in 1 hour a month, because you're
Yeah,
hiring somebody for their expertise. Yeah.
exactly.
Like, we
And
all
and
think
that's why we
social
have.
media should be easy because it's like, upload a video across, like, it should work, and, like, it just doesn't.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Like you said, and things are always changing too.
Yes.
Algorithms, how things are prioritized. It's just, so you've got your, finger on the pulse of, seeing where those things are shifting. And it's just, it is what it is. And one thing I found fascinating, Lindsay, is like you said, you might have a message. I've seen this where it totally works. It could be amplified. It's amazing. It's converting. It's doing all these things. But then 6 months from now, that same message, it was completely working, is not working anymore.
Yeah, you've gotta always have your eye on those analytics because they will tell you. They will tell you, and your customers will tell you because 'cause you're always changing. We're all evolving. Our businesses are
Mhm.
evolving, how we market and serve. So your marketing needs to keep up with that. I think that's a beautiful part about social media is it is real quick. Like you can change things as the world changes and it'll get out there. So I think that's a real strength of social media as long as you know what you're watching for.
Right. And that's why, the whole reason why we have the Business Roundtable podcast and having folks like Lindsay here, so you can hear and learn and say, look, I don't need to be messing with all this stuff. Let me work with somebody that gets this and understands this and like compresses time, if you will, moving you
Yes.
forward, right?
Yes. That actually works. Cause just
It,
you guessing on social, I hate to tell you, it just isn't gonna work. It just doesn't work for
mhm.
most people.
No, no. Again, it's the same thing. Why you and I connected. I'm the people side of things. I love people and helping them. And again, you could best with that in your business, but finding people that are, you know, coaches or consultants that help you can again compress that time, move you along, so you can focus, like you said, Lindsay, on the things that you do best.
Yeah, that you
Um,
like.
to the
Chances are you
advance.
don't
Yeah.
like to eat social media marketing for breakfast like me, okay? I do. Leave it to me.
Yes. Yes. This is awesome, Lindsay. I know there's probably way more we could do here, but I think this is probably a good spot to stop because I want people to connect with you, engage with you. And again, we talked about it, but LinkedIn, is that your main profile? What's your website or how else people can find you,
Yeah,
connect
just
with
you can
you?
go to lindseya.com. I am on several social media platforms, but definitely LinkedIn. I mean, it's one of my top ones for sure. So,
Mhm.
please
Yeah.
reach out. Let me know you heard me on the Steward Your
The
Business
vis-
podcast, and I'm so
Yep.
excited to hear from you.
Yeah, yeah. No, so glad to have you here on the podcast. Um, we would love to have you come back again. I'm sure we're gonna have more as everything's evolving, right? Like I said earlier, what do we look now? But these steps are solid. I hope everybody was taking good notes or go back and listen to this. We're on YouTube, and we so you guys can follow us along there, or of course your favorite podcast platform if you're listening to us here. We always appreciate you liking and subscribing and giving us your comments and your feedback. I just want to say thank you, Lindsay, for coming on and really enjoyed our conversation today.
David, a real pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Until next time, have a great day. Take care.